Yes, here we go. Shout out FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. 1 week into finals. It was a fizzer, I reckon. We're going to get into all of the games. There's plenty of big issues rolling around. I'm late today. Sorry, Skeeter. My apologies, mate. I was late last week as well, wasn't I? Sorry. Hello, mate.
And you just pass on the blame to me. But no,
I
okay.
said I was late this time.
That's fine. No, look, I'm going to say one thing off the top. I was so excited about the first week of the finals. It was absolute dud city. Apart from one game, which I was lucky to call, it was a dud. Look, if you're barrack for the Hawks or the Cats or the Swans in Brisbane, but in terms of a neutral observer...
I mean, Sydney GWS was amazing.
That's what I said. Apart from one final, they were duds in terms of a contest.
Yeah, I agree with that, Skeeter. Welcome to the Shelter FootyCast. You can find everything you need there at shelterfootycast.com.au. Remember to get your tickets to Grand Final Day. The final.au is where you get your tickets for the best Grand Final show in town. Some guests firming for that one, so make sure you go and get your tickets for that. Saying to get moving with tickets there. Skeeter, let's get straight into it if that's okay with you, mate. I think there's a fair bit going on in Footyland right now. So, look, I'll start off the top. My predictions I'm going to say over the last 3 years are about as bad as they get.
I'm glad owning something early because you knew it was coming. That you've been really strong and on so many issues.
I think we need to actually dive into my mindset with it because I clearly have no idea.
So let's backtrack. Last Thursday, you thought that, and you were very strong that you thought Port Adelaide could win the flag.
Yes.
24 hours later, I reckon you've just about disowned yourself of that statement.
So again, I'd like to dive into the mentality around it. Look, there's 8 teams, right, going into finals.
And you hitched your wagon to how many of them?
3.
Hawthorn, Giants, Port. Was that it?
Well, look,
And
I did grow up at Geelong.
So there's 4. So half the... You're basically like Bart Cummings in the old day with about that many runners in the Melbourne Cup.
I've done the same with Stephen King at Adam Simpson's replacement. So
he's cooked in it, obviously. No chance.
Yeah, absolutely. God knows what that game was, but I just wanted to get that off the top. Look, hey, I know people listen for the expertise. I like giving insight. I don't think I give expertise.
No, I've learned that out of having followed you on a couple of financial investments over the years.
Oh, okay. Oh,
no.
Oh, you're God's gift to investing, are you?
No. But the way you spoke to me last year, I remember it was either the last game for Harwick against Port Adelaide, Richmond versus Port, might have been 2 years ago. Mate, I'm telling you, Richmond wins. And so I thought, okay, Schoey, he's played footy. He's in the... I went and had the investment. They got absolutely... pulverised.
Yeah, I think just wipe that off. I like giving insight, not expertise. So I'm just going to get off the top. Mate, there was some big and great and good moments. I know it was a bit of a fizzer for the finals, but I wanted to put this one to you, Skeeter, because I know you're passionate about it. Should finals be eligible for Mark and Goal of the Year? Because we've seen 2 for this that are incredible.
100%. Absolutely. Now, it's easy to say, given what we saw on the weekend. Thursday, I had the pleasure of calling the Jeremy Cameron goal, which I think would be one of the finalists. Would you agree with that?
Oh, that would beat the 3. That would beat them. No, that would beat them. Not one.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be relatively neutral.
Oh no, that would be better than those.
Yeah,
3.
and there's no question in my mind that Isaac Heaney is the Mark of the Year. And the photo, I've got to give a shout out. Saw it on Twitter, and I think it's just worth touching on. The bloke from AAP Sports, Dan Himbrex, I think it is. It was just a spectacular mark. Which,
if we didn't think Jack Buckley could get any better, which here at BackChat we don't. Jack Buckley medal. He saved his life. I would go as far to say, I don't think I've seen live, and when I say live, either watching on TV or in person, I've never seen a better mark.
Outstanding. And it sort of came out of nowhere, didn't it?
At the moment, and the game he went on to play, on Jack Buckley, he's 195 centimetres. He was fully entrenched in there.
That's the mark just showing on my phone. But he protected him from the fall. I mentioned that in the 6PR commentary because it looked like if Heaney's momentum had continued, it was, head into the ground, neck. It could have been really ugly. So I think Dylan Buckley's mum bought into it.
Jack Buckley. Was it Dylan?
Jack Buckley's mum bought into the discussion by saying, "I'm very proud that he did that."
Yeah, look, I think it's the best mark I've ever seen. I don't think I haven't seen a better mark.
So it goes back to the argument. Surely the Mark and Goal of the Year, the finalists should be decided, at least put to bed after the prelim final, and then obviously the grand final is a difficult one to include if you're doing it on Brownlow night.
An argument you could say, right? So people say, "Oh, well, not everyone has the chance to win it." Well, that's like saying, well, everyone gets to play for the premiership, right? You do up until finals start. Yeah. And then once you don't make finals, you should have played better. So if you want to win Mark of the Year...
You've had 23 chances to take the Mark of the Year.
And you want to do it in finals, we'll make finals. I agree with this, Skeeter.
It's worth money. It's worth $50,000 or $60,000. Now, so Isaac Heaney will not win the Brownlow because obviously suspended. Will not win Mark of the Year, and 50 or 60K or whatever it is goes out the door. And that's serious coin. He might win a premiership.
I was going to say, let's hope he gets a premiership cup for his troubles. Skater, before the weekend happened, and this one is very relevant to you and I think. Jack Gidman was down at the pub on a Thursday. Oh, was it Thursday night before a Friday game?
Yes, the night before.
What do you think about that?
Oh, I had an argument with Millsy on this. You know what? So what if we both played in the game and went for a Chinese meal on the third? Mate, it is, for me, it is a non-issue. I don't know whether you agree with me or not. The blokes there having a bite to eat. I know it's all relative because what happened before the grand final last year, him going to the races, which is probably a worse look before the grand final. I'm not sure any blokes would do that. Something I would definitely do because it just takes your mind off it. Not get on the gas, but just go and have a couple of multis and put the quaddie on, whatever it is. But no, I don't see. And Sam Mitchell, I think, handled it as well as he could have as a coach. He knew what was happening. He knew his young player was going to a pub, was going to have a feed, and I'm sure he knew he was going to get photographed.
All right, so I'll give you my thoughts on this.
Yes.
I couldn't care less. And if he, like all players, your preparation needs to be a preparation. You live and die with the sword by this, though. If he comes out and plays a stinker and Hawthorn lose, he would have got crucified, right? And he half got crucified anyway. But I'm just saying that's the world that we live in. I, for a fact, love it. If he wants to go with his mates and that helps him relax and that helps him perform.
Yeah, as a palmy, exactly.
So I'm in that regard. In that regard. Would I have done it? No. Like, I don't think I've never been to a pub the day before a game. Would
you go to a restaurant?
No, but not because not because I was trying to start social media, because I don't like people that much and I don't really want to go out and I want to go and chat to punters the day before a game.
Which would have happened to him surely at the pub.
Yeah.
But you know what? That makes, I think, different characters, different personalities. I mean, you couldn't imagine, for instance, trying to think of someone at Hawthorn that would be a completely different personality, but you can imagine the Wizard doing that as well.
Yeah.
Not that I know him at all, but there's certain characters at your footy club, Schoey, going back in time, that you just knew would
yeah, sure.
have different preparations.
It's a strange one, though, and I don't reckon Sam Mitchell knew. I love the fact
Really?
Sam Mitchell's about. Well, you don't have to put a report card into the head coach to tell him what you're doing the night before.
Yeah, true. But surely Jack would have known. I mean, had an inkling that this is coming.
Oh, yeah. Overall, I loved it.
Yeah.
Could care less. So well done, Jack, and he played well too. And you know what my favourite part about his game was? It was pretty late in the game. He ended up kicking one, but he had a running inside 50 and he gave one off.
That's right.
Like completely gave it off.
Centre the footy.
Yeah. Could have had a shot at goal.
That's team.
That tells me he's team focused and he doesn't really care about himself anymore, and that's bloody brilliant. And I think that's what Hawthorn and the rest of the side would be worrying about. Back into the Sydney GWS game. Actually, I'll come back. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about this one. So, halftime rumble. Fair bit of spite in the GWS Sydney game, which I liked. They clearly don't like each other. Tom Papley was as fired up as I've seen him in a long time. He was carrying on, bursting at the vein, neck throbbing. He was absolutely sizzling, Tom Papley.
And mouthing off to everyone.
Yeah, I know. It was just like, you little... right? Jason McCartney, for mine, represented most of Australia because you could just see, like, just going to get you.
I love Macca, and I know Jason's going back in time, going back to Bali. I reckon he did it. He'll get, please explain. I thought he did it quite subtly because he had his arm sort of that way, trying to get to his own play, but he knew exactly who he was sort of brushing past.
Let's break down out of 100 his how well do you think how well did he know his awareness?
His space.
His surroundings.
He knew exactly where he was. He knew exactly
99 out of 100 knew what he was doing.
For instance, if you're my team and I'm going to you and Papley's there, I'm just trying to somehow get to you. I just stick my arm out and I think he'll get a fine, a reprimand. I don't know.
This is one that this is sort of like the Collingwood fan hugging the intent, and like I hope this doesn't end up in a suspension or something. I hope it doesn't.
It should.
Given the AFL's sort of repertoire in this and their regime they're running this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, and that'll be disappointing. A couple of other things, maybe a Western Australian focus here. Given Port Adelaide's capitulation in that first final, and that is all that can be said about that. That was just an absolute walkover by Geelong, boil over even, Skeeter. Tom Morris last night on Channel 9, I saw him speaking about the fact that if Ken Hinkley and Port Adelaide don't make a prelim, 1, he'll be gone from Port Adelaide. 2, West Coast should go and make a play at Ken Hinkley. Your thoughts?
Yeah, his name keeps coming up, and Ken's a very experienced coach. His home and away record's terrific. Is he the right coach for the Eagles? I don't think so. I don't think he'll come to the club. Off the back of if they get beaten, back-to-back finals in that fashion, I think he's got some great attributes as a coach, clearly. I mean, he has great ability, and he connects well with his players. I think it's fair to say, and I think you've made the point before, that you don't get a team to finish second purely because of the players or purely because of the coach. But the coach has played a role in getting them into the finals, into a position to challenge for the flag. Now, why they haven't been able to, at this point, take that next step to be contenders, that performance on Thursday was, I don't know how they recover from it. And look, we often see teams in the top 4 beaten in the first week. They somehow find a way to regather themselves. But I'm steering away from Ken Hinkley, not because of the results over this September campaign, but I think we've seen in more recent times good emerging assistant coaches, and I know it's rolling the dice a bit more than, say, getting a safe bet like Ken, who we know his record. I think the Eagles need to follow the likes of the Giants with Kingsley, the Pies with McRae. There's numerous examples. Adam Simpson, their most recent coach, came across as an assistant coach. Make sure you get that right. And albeit there are different circumstances because the Eagles aren't going to have success, we don't think, in the short term, I think that's a better play than going for Ken.
Yeah, look, I haven't considered it. I've been strong on assistant coach. Going at the best assistant coach. Stop trying to duck and dive and pick your people out who have coached. But because he's currently in the game, the reason, I was thinking about this morning, why have I been so anti it, is because the names that are being thrown up aren't coaching AFL clubs. Nathan Buckley hasn't coached for 3 years. And okay, he can coach, but he's someone who hasn't coached for 3 years. James Hird.
But the names that are brought up,
Peter Sumich.
Stephen King. No.
I'm saying the ones that I don't like.
Well, they're not going to coach.
Yeah, but the reason is because they're not in the system right now, and you need to be in the system. So Ken Hinkley would sit above all those for mine.
Of course, absolutely. If you're down to coaches of experience, and you're going to take someone who's in the system, because the game changes pretty quickly, and you're right. I don't think there's any prospect that someone who's not currently coaching, whether it's assistant or a senior coach, and don't put it beyond the Eagles to have reached out to a couple of big names. So,
and I also don't think that this coach can coach the next premiership for West Coast. I'm pretty firm on that. So,
but that's logical.
If that's the case, maybe Ken Hinkley's the guy. Maybe Ken Hinkley's the guy. But as I said, Stephen King's the guy. So take what you like out of that. Will Schofield, Mark Reading, show the FootyCast. All right, my boys Geelong defeat Port Adelaide by 84 points at Adelaide.
I just sat back the other night and thought, Schoey just ripped me during the year when they were sitting second and you were just having a go. I said, look, they're the second on the ladder because the ladder doesn't lie. They're the second best team in it. I've had my doubts about them. I still do. But they are one of 2 teams in the best place to win the flag now.
If you had, and you're right, unfortunately, if you had to sit back and sort of say, a bit of a head wop. I mean, you were on Geelong very early, weren't you, Skeeter?
Yeah, I was. I mean, a bit like I did waver a bit, but you know what? You just go on what they banking wins early in the season.
Please don't.
And I've got to be honest, it's not. We know Danger was terrific. Cameron, we know what he does. What they've done with their list has been terrific. Sean Manor, a mid sort of age recruit, comes in.
Werribee.
Terrific. Kicks goals, had 20-plus possessions. Holmes, I thought the run that he supplied. Some of these, Lawson Humphreys down back, I love what they've been able to do to integrate some sort of no-name players in that sense into this team. And they keep attracting players. It's a destination club. Bailey Smith, reportedly, about to go to Geelong next year. They find these players, Cameron, of course, was the biggest name, but they find these players to complement what's already there. And, for instance, your old mate, Tom Hawkins, I'm not sure he's going to get a game in the prelim final. If you're being brutally honest about what that team did on Thursday, barring an injury,
You can't bring someone into that, unfortunately. I mean, they're going to have to, though. Tom Stewart was a laid out. So I'm rattling on about Port Adelaide Premiership, and I'm thinking Geelong, don't know if they can do it away from home, right? I haven't been that impressed with them, blah, blah, blah. I'm scrolling through Twitter before the game. Tom Stewart laid out. I think you absolute beauty. There is just now, there is no chance. Their best player, Tom Stewart's their best player. We agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Gone, not playing. Sam De Koning, not playing. Like that, there's just, and so with all of that in mind, you got to absolutely respect the shit out of what Geelong did to Port Adelaide, because they just completely smashed them, smashed their midfield. These names in Butters and Rosé and Wines and best midfield in the comp in inverted commas, mate, they got absolutely outworked by Holmes, Dangerfield, Manor when he was in there, Grind, Myers, aka Lionel Messi, Tyson Stengel kicks 4 goals. It was just a absolute walkover, Skeeter. Cats only had more inside 50s.
Yeah,
too.
a lot of the numbers don't. There's not a huge disparity between the two on that basis. But we were doing the game on Thursday. It was the ability. They were clean, Port Adelaide's. And I did mention to you on Thursday, I was concerned about where they were going to get their goals from, Port Adelaide. Radaglia doesn't seem to me to be the answer in attack. And we know that Charlie Dixon had a stinker, and whether he plays this week is questionable. Todd Marshall would have to be considered strongly. But yeah,
Why's Todd Marshall not been playing? Injured or selection?
I think he was. He was injured, but I think there was a choice to be made between Dixon and Marshall. There's been some criticism from others on Ken about not playing Marshall ahead of Dixon. I think that'll change this week, providing Marshall's okay. But they've got so many areas that what we saw. How does a team play such solid football in the home and away season, and then
have such little respect from no?
Well, then dish up that on
Port Adelaide.
Yeah, Port Adelaide. Yeah.
To me, it looked like they knew how they were going to get beaten, and then they did nothing about it because they a bit of we're at home.
Do you think they're arrogant?
I don't know how else to describe it. You can't say that they didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, it's extraordinary that they're just a very good home and away team, and they're not good enough to take the next step. It's one that I think most people, the spotlight will be on Port like no other club in the finals this week. Is the blowtorch right on them?
I saw some criticism of Zach Butters over the weekend. Saw Ribs subbed out at half time. Most courageous this year, Zach Butters. Worth sort of noting, I think. It's worth just. There's two trains of thought here. One of them is sore ribs. What's going on? Sore ribs. Stay out there.
Yeah.
Or the other train of thought is, well, we're not going to win this. Get our best player off. But when he was subbed out at the time,
let's just go back to half time. I mean, they weren't completely cooked at half time. I don't know they had a poor.
He's one of their best players.
No, I cannot believe that they would have put the cue in the rack at half time when they were.
Well, has what we've seen with Christian Petrarca changed an incident like this? Because I don't recall seeing anyone get subbed out with sore ribs playing the next week.
Mate, they were down by 20 points at half time. So the game was far from done. So I'm going to dismiss that suggestion that they were going to rest him, and he's been cleared of any major damage.
You and I sitting up here, me especially, like sitting off in a podcast shooting my mouth. I don't know how he was feeling or what he was feeling, and maybe they thought it was broken, but
yeah. So we're going to trust them on that.
It's an interesting one.
He needs to play this week, obviously, and Port. And in all seriousness, do you think they could win this week? Do you think they can still win the flag from here?
Yes, but it's a very faint heartbeat, and it's like
they're going to win 3.
They're going to try and find some heart, something and they're going to be away from home after this week. They'll go and play not Geelong. They'll go and play Sydney in Sydney. Yeah, thanks for coming. Don't think that can happen. And Hawthorn is going to be this week, so they're going to have to get past them as well, who are absolutely on fire. Tom Hawkins did play in the VFL, Skeeter, kicked 1 goal, 3. So I guess positively he gets through and plays.
Sentiment or you stick to your winning formula? That's the question for Chris Scott.
Well, that is going to be an interesting call. That's going to be bloody brutal match committee come prelim time because they're out of the VFL now. I believe they lost.
Yes.
So he won't play. If they had have played again, he would have played, and it comes and kicks 10. Goes out and kicks 10 the week before prelim, you're probably playing him, but he doesn't get that opportunity, and he's just now at training now. So
as it stands, I think that the conversation would be, Tom, unless something happens to say Shannon Neal, I think you're missing the prelim.
So Shannon Neal offers more than Tom Hawkins
at the moment.
That's what we're saying.
I think so. Well, yeah, I think it'd be really harsh on Neal to drop him for a prelim, given the preparation that Tom's going to have.
If I was a backman and I was coming into a prelim final, I would be rapt to see Tom Hawkins not selected.
Even as underdone as he might be, I want to say underdone, just hasn't played a lot of footy.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that, I reckon. But in saying that, I kind of agree with you. So we'll see that. Gary Rowan was hospitalised with a fractured skull, so that could be him done for the year, I would have thought. Hawthorn, no, that was in the VFL. Hawthorn defeat Bulldogs by 37 in what can only be described as an absolute boil-over at the MCG. We can't, that's how you describe this.
No, so
that's how you describe that. So can you give some context for our listeners?
So we had a debate on Friday night footy on
live
6PR.
Live on air.
You said this is a boil over when they're up by 15, 20 points, whatever it was.
Yeah.
See, in my definition of a sporting boil over, do we both agree this was deemed to be the best matchup of the first week of the finals?
Just because they were two good sides.
Yeah, so I'm saying two good sides. See, a boil over to me is a team that's given no chance whatsoever, a bit like Carlton on Saturday night. So
a boil over to me is just another team wiping the other side. Like they just completely dominated the Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs were nowhere throughout this game. Nowhere to be seen.
They were poor.
Boil over.
And you can say boil over. I say they just got pantsed. But either way, they were... After the first, I kicked a goal inside 20 seconds, Aaron Norton.
Yeah.
The game changed after quarter time, and it was effectively over again at halftime by what Hawthorn did, their running power, their ability to not have James Sicily with an opponent essentially at halfback, and we were crying out for Beveridge to try to find an answer to that issue, and it wasn't just a minor part of the game. This was a glaring hole in what was the Bulldogs' game plan. And
plain and simple, Skeeter, the Bulldogs, and what's become so fashionable in today's footy is we're going to take them on, we're going to
play our game,
we're going to play our way, back our boys in, all that bullshit is what the Bulldogs did. And they got their bloody absolute asses handed to them. And it was done by their best players. James Sicily is Hawthorn's best player. Yet, did he have a forward that went into that game thinking, I'm gonna make life hell for James Sicily? No, he didn't. And maybe the coaches at the Bulldogs say, well, we told someone they didn't do it. Well, that's probably on the coaches then, because he just roamed around doing as he pleased.
And you probably didn't expect, Ugle Hagen's not that type of player. Norton and Darcy, let's just quickly touch on what they did. Norton, I think, finished with 3 goals.
Yep.
Wasn't their worst, but didn't have a big impact on the game.
Not the worst of their top three. Their tall three.
Yeah. So Darcy, I thought thought he showed glimpses. I thought he tried hard, went into the ruck.
Yep.
I'll give him half a pass. Ugle Hagen had an absolute stinker. So on that basis, the tools didn't come up to the level required. Unfortunately for Sam Frost, he's out for the rest of the season, having injured himself in that game.
Is that right?
Yeah, so he's gone for the year.
Frosty's
gone. He's out. So that makes life even tougher for the Hawks defensively now. Sicily holds so much
that's a big
weight on his shoulders. So, that's huge, irrespective of what happens this Friday. But, Hawthorn, terrific. It's their hunt around the football that really... I was being told on Friday, they've only beaten bottom 8 sides, but they are doing it. They're beating teams convincingly around the contest, around the ball, and the inside 50s even on Friday night. They were just a team that, again, reminded a lot of people of the Bulldogs themselves of 2016, the way they just had built momentum. And there's a similar feel to what we're seeing from this team.
Inside 50s were 59-39, Skeeter, so it was a bloodbath. The intercept game, Scrimshaw was elite. I thought he was unbelievable, alongside James Sicily. But so between them, they had 21 intercepts. So I don't think you can stop that. One man that Freo fans will know, and there was a fair bit of commentary around this, a one-on-one battle, basically. So Sam Darcy came out and tried his best. But one-on-one, Lloyd Meek, Tim English, an absolute destruction in the ruck, Skeeter. Lloyd Meek had
46 hitouts,
23 disposals, alongside Tim English, who I didn't think really fluttered. 15 touches and a goal. The goal was nothing. 21 hit outs, so doubled his hit outs. Destroyed him, mate. This is someone that's touted as one of the best rucks in the league. Lloyd Meek absolutely wiped him.
Outstanding. And, this is maybe a guide of what successful teams can have. I mean, Tim English, a highly paid, highly thought of ruckman, but Lloyd Meek, given what he's done at Hawthorn, I don't even think he arrived at the Hawks. He was a backup there under Reeves from memory. So what he's been able to do and the size, and he just competes, and I think that was just so evident with what his performance produced. And look, he had to be in their top handful of players on Friday night.
So the first half didn't go the way the Bulldogs wanted, and we spoke about it on radio. They needed to change their mentality in front of the footy, like just halve contests. Stop running around like Hollywoods and stop Sicily and Scrimshaw doing as they pleased. And the other thing they needed to change was what was happening in the midfield. They're getting dominated.
Bont was getting no supply. Wasn't getting the footy.
He had 6 touches in the first half. Treloar was quiet, and it was like, well, what are they going to do? They put Bont forward for most of the third quarter. How is that? That was absolutely bewildering to me, mate. This man is one of, if not the favourite for the Brownlow medal, very close to it. One of the best midfielders in the comp. I know that he can go forward, and I know he can be dangerous. Back him. He must have been carrying an injury. There's no other explanation. How do you pull your best player out of the midfield when it needs to be? When you need to change the game, your captain. How?
Yeah,
that was strange.
It was baffling because then I guess in many ways he was taking out any possibility of the Dogs reasserting themselves around the clearances and being able to impact the contest. So, it was like that was a dirty night for the Dogs, and that list, it's underachieved this year. There's no question about that. And how are they going to get better moving forward?
Well, the Lobster's committed. He's committed. He's staying there. Yeah, he was very good too.
He was good. He was one of their better players, but they still they would have loved to have had Tom Barras or someone of that ilk come and join them next year, because forward of the ball they look okay with those three tools. Will that work long term? Not sure. Their midfield still looks great. So
this is why this is a mindset game, though, Skeeter, mate. You roll into a game, you think we're going to take them on head to head in the midfield, and we're going to just we're going to be better than them in the forward line because we've got 3 good players. You get rolled because your mindset's not right. So you can have all the players you like. You can go and get Tom Barras if you like. You can go and get another midfielder. You can go and get another forward. You still need to rock up mentally on game day and have a mentality to not let a team beat you where you know they can beat you. They got it so wrong, the Bulldogs, and they got everything they deserved. And now we sit here waiting for Hawthorn to fall over. I feel like this is a little bit Collingwood-esque, that we're sort of thinking, look, they started so poorly, and the way that they're playing, they're young, they're a bit abrasive. They sort of, you're sort of thinking, well, when are Hawthorn when's it going to get to them? When are they going to get on a big stage, big moment, and they're not going to stand up? They still haven't proven to us that they're going to do that, have they? I mean, they just keep rolling. And every game they rock up and you think, oh, well, they're on today, and they're probably going to win if they're on. Yeah,
you lose Sam Frost. Will Day's health is pretty important.
Sam Frost is incredibly big.
Yeah, so, for all the above reasons. So, you just, in that situation, you just got to not look ahead to what might come, look ahead to Port Adelaide, because if they expect to go to Port Adelaide and Port doesn't give a yelp, then that would be extremely surprising for me, because Port Adelaide, if you're in the South Australian media this week, there's that much heat on that group to, at the very least, provide some real grunt. Give us something in a match where, to go out straight sets and fail in September again. Hawthorn's playing beautiful footy. Love it. They're the storyline of September, really, aren't they? Because, I've gone back to, I've mentioned 1987 with Melbourne. We talked about the Dogs of 16. This is a team that most people, if you're an Essendon supporter, you hate Hawthorn with a passion. You thought, thank goodness, they've had their little era of success, finishing with Hodgie and the crew. That's all done. Before you know it, they're back. And they're getting better and better. And they've just jumped past Essendon on the way through again. They've gone past Carlton.
And they're not even,
they're not peaked.
If you're not a Hawthorn fan, they're not even that good. They don't even have that many players. They're about to be dynasty level, I think. I don't know, maybe. Sydney defeat GWS in the game of the weekend, 6 points, SCG. This is a ripper. Watch this at the pub, which was even better.
Yeah, I know that.
You know that?
Well, I know. Where'd you text? You texted me. So I know you texted me on Thursday night.
I was at the pub for the Thursday night.
Thursday night, going to getting these random texts, and they were getting a bit more bit funky towards, bit sort of loose at the back end of the night.
Can you pull them up? Can you pull them up?
Yeah.
I was trying to give you some advice, and from recollection, I don't think it was very good.
Advice. It was pretty average.
Sydney, while you pull that up, Sydney defeat GWS. That was just an incredible game of footy. It was brilliant atmosphere watching it. You had marks of the year. You had games of the year. I think what Warner did in the fourth quarter, 13 disposals, 7 clearances, 5 score involvements, and Isaac Heaney, 30 disposals for the game, 7 clearances, 3 goals. I don't think you see better games than that. And in big moments where it's pretty much a grand final appearance on the line here. If you don't win this, it's a bloody hard road to get there. And Sydney, their best players stood up. Their very best players were just elite, and they got it absolutely done. But before we get there, what are you laughing at?
I didn't hear any of what you said then because I was just looking at some of the texts from you. Let's go back to Thursday night. I should have mentioned this but it just reminded me. This is from you at 7:14 p.m. Surely you're on port to win from here. That's just when they're down, obviously, at half-time. At $4.20, get on. You are still drunk, I think, my friend. This is effed, you said. What are these F-wits doing? Get on now, $15. Obviously, it must be three-quarter time. We love your humour from me. Next up, did I tell you I was a Cats fan from Schoey? Who'd you back tonight? Then he said to me, I didn't have a bet, believe it or not. Effing Port was your reply. What a disgraceful team. Get Ken to West Coast. I said he won't be coming here. And then the next one is 5 minutes late today, sorry.
So I was asking for Ken at the end of the game.
You were, seriously, I showed Pats, I said, yeah, he's off chops.
No, okay, all right. Yeah, a couple of bloody oil paintings up there at 6 p.m. I don't know about that. Skeets, Sydney GWS.
Good
this
game.
was an absolute ripper. Honestly, you look across the stat, there's just so many great games by players. There was spot fires, there was stuff at half-time. And then it came down to a last quarter where clearly both sides wanted it, and it was just an arm wrestle. There were so many big moments.
I just felt in the last quarter, not saying they tried to save the game, the Giants, but they didn't play. They've seen the scoreboard as you do as a player, and protecting the lead might even be too harsh. But I just thought that Sydney had to, under their circumstances, had to take the game on. They did. They kicked 6 goals. Heaney, we've spoken about how good he was.
GWS missed goals early in this game.
Yeah.
That, like, Peatling missed one from 15.
Toby Green.
Yeah, Keith missed another.
Yeah. So they should have been essentially game over.
Gone.
Yeah, should have been game over. But, it just shows you leave the door ajar for a team like Sydney, and, they were just outstanding that last 5 minutes. I thought 10 minutes being able to shut down the Giants. And I think the first time they hit the lead would have been, they would have spent 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes in front for the whole game.
Yeah, and they really, the scores was level with 2.5 minutes left, and you kind of knew probably both sides would have one chance. Joel Amati ends up being the guy, but it's Papley again with a score involved.
Yeah, I mean, Amati did very little for the day, let's be honest.
Yeah, but
that's, you take your moment.
Yeah, there was going to be, those tight games, you're going to have one opportunity, you took it, and then game over. It felt like a game that GWS had the entire time, and then the game was over and they'd lost, and it was like, how did they lose that?
Yeah, I mean, 54 inside 50 to 52, so numbers are pretty even across the board there. Look, I don't, of the losers of the weekend, I don't think, there's so much for Adam Kingsley to take out of it, apart from the disappointment. But he can take a lot of positivities out of that moving forward. I would not dismiss them as a premiership team just yet, given obviously the double chance makes life a bit easier. But
if you had to pick from the 2 double chances, Port Adelaide and GWS are clearly in front of Port. Right?
Yeah, clearly.
So GWS play Brisbane away from home, clearly, as in Brisbane's away from home.
Yes.
Which is, good for them. I'm not overly convinced by Brisbane. They can get hot, but they can get cold. Like, even Carlton, and we'll get through that game in a little bit, but even Carlton put 5 or 6 goals in a row on them. Against a good side, I don't think they're consistent enough at the moment.
No, I think the Giants are well placed to get through the next week. And, providing they've come out of it, the game without too many injuries. Yeah, I don't think it'd be very disappointing for them in the rooms after the game, but they will have a fair bit of belief in what they did for, I guess, 3.5 quarters.
The goal, the mark by Isaac Heaney. Like, that goal he kicked in the last quarter from 70 was off its head. Oh, yeah, unbelievable. Great work, Sydney. Congratulations. Another of my teams goes down. Brisbane Carlton called this one yesterday. What a beauty this one was. I was genuinely cheering for Carlton to not score in that first half. It would have been the first time in AFL history.
that
a team hasn't scored in the first half. Scoreboard, game was over at quarter time. First time a team was scoreless at quarter time of a final since North Melbourne in 1974.
That's a long time, isn't it?
They were just wiped clean, Carlton, and none of their insertions did anything, basically. They got everything wrong. Tom de Koning, sub. So he had to come on early because of the game. Matt Kennedy, who, I mean, that's...
Was he injured?
No, mate. I mean, he was up. No, that was tactical. That was tactical.
So that's why there was so much angst. And I was at a function on Saturday night, and they were saying he looks absolutely filthy.
I read somewhere that it was his birthday of one of his kids or something. I'm not sure that fucking matters, to be honest. It doesn't matter. Your kid's birthday matters, but if you're a professional AFL footballer, you're going to miss some birthdays. It's okay.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he was subbed 10 minutes into the second quarter, and Tom de Koning came on and was probably one of their better players. So what are you doing there? Why is he the sub? He's one of your better players anyway. Why is he not starting? He was their best ruckman. He absolutely did a lot more than Pitnet was doing in the ruck. He was absolutely trounced by McInerney. Once again, just like the Western Bulldogs, Carlton, although a little bit different circumstances, Carlton let Dane Zorko, All-Australian at doing this all year, do what he wanted in the backline. How do you not go into this game with a defensive mindset on Dane Zorko? He had 20 touches in the first half. Game was gone. And then they went and put Ollie Hollands on him for a bit. Well, what are you preparing for? It was terrible coaching. Coaching. Matt Kennedy's wife gave birth on that day. He rushed to the ground to play.
Wow. Well, there we go. Is that just coming out? Because I didn't know. I mean, I saw the criticism on social media. That changed your...
I was right. It was a birthday.
Yeah, it was the birthday.
Wow. So look, you're not owed anything in footy, Skater, as you well know. You're not really owed anything in life.
He was pissed because he was subbed. Is that the general consensus?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
He was absolutely livid on the bench, and I think rightly so. It doesn't get they're not owed anything by anyone. But if you're there to play a final and get subbed off 10 minutes in the second quarter,
you may as well state it.
There was a lot worse than him, mate. So I'm not. Yeah, and I know it's going to be criticism from Carlton fans to say, well, we were dealing with injuries all year and all of that, but I thought they were out coached in a game that okay, you're injured, but you got to rock up and play.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't do
Pluggage, Rayner was hitting the scoreboard. I'm not going to go into this game too much because it was over a quarter time. What I will say, and I didn't see it. Shut up, you idiot! After half time, they've kicked 9 goals to 5. Yes. So look, you're right. Maybe they just put the cue in the rack.
Let me tell you, mate. With 2 minutes to go in the second quarter, it was 60-0.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then Brisbane tried to switch and they stuffed up a switch kick, and then Carlton almost didn't score. They desperately tried not to score. So we could have gone in at halftime with 0.
Is there a bigger story out of the night than this though? Is this the big story we haven't touched on yet?
This will be good.
Mitch Robinson trying to go into the Brisbane rooms post game. Now, I don't know what happened, but apparently, allegedly, reportedly, he was denied entry. Of course, he played for both Brisbane and Carlton. He put out something on, was it Instagram, on Twitter, somewhere of that note, on social media. Yeah. Now, you're probably across this. Is Mitch, is he justified in being a little bit miffed?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Look, AFL clubs... And as lots of listeners of this show will know, they move on pretty quickly. So West Coast moved on pretty quickly from Will Schofield. But
if you went to the rooms afterwards...
I'm welcome down to the rooms. Would I want to go down to the rooms? Oh, so he was trying to get the Brisbane rooms, the winning rooms. Oh, yeah, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe there's someone on the door that...
Didn't know him.
Doesn't know him. Yeah. And you don't have to be known.
How bad's that when you go somewhere you think that he's going to stroll in, and then they go, sorry, sir, don't know who you are.
Mitch Robinson, he's a little take. Thank you very much, Jade. And football is a fake family. Just remember that. I'll never go to a Lions game again. And that was off the back of it.
Was he with you at the Paddo on Thursday?
That was off the back of it like a rant, an absolute rant. I reckon he was probably pissed. No, actually, take that back. I don't know. I don't know if he's pissed or not.
No, I'm glad.
But you got to remember, he's a former Carlton and Brisbane player.
Yeah.
So it would have been a big day for him.
But I'll go back to the fact, people think the doorman of every football club knows who played for them 10 years ago.
Let me tell you, Mitch, and others, and myself included, no one really gives a shit. And so you didn't get in. Who cares, mate?
Yeah.
What's
Maybe ring the footy manager if you're on terms with someone. Say, hey,
if you're so well connected there, just make the phone call.
Exactly.
Make the phone call to who can get you in. Because I guarantee if it happened at West Coast, I'd ring someone and go, "Hey, do you know who's at the front door? It's Will Schofield."
I know, that's what I'm saying. Imagine it's so when you're thinking how bad is it when you're walking into a venue somewhere and they say, "You got your ID or you got your identification."
That's what happened to you. No, you didn't have to go. When you went to Hippie Club recently, you walked straight to the front, didn't you?
No, I didn't, but I had to.
No, you did.
I did. I just said I was. Yeah, I did.
You
actually.
did.
Yeah,
I know the security there. They said you did. You said there was a massive line.
I'm not. My wife said I'm not hanging around. Said leave it to me. And so I went and look. I know the owners who used to own it, Belch and JA, etc. So I have got some connections.
Can you just
there.
imagine what happened at the front? I mean, Jaden used to work security as well. So Jaden's seen a few operators
So
like
all
you.
these-
I know the owners, right? The 50-year-old bloke at the front of the line at Hippie Club. I know the owners. Of course you fucking did, mate. You probably built the joint.
And you know what? All these sniffing little 18-year-olds trying to get in and spend their $40. Stick up your jumper. That I've been working for 30 years. And I've been
working for 30 years. Let me at the front of the line of Hippie Club.
And when they don't know who you are or they don't know where you're from, I think we had trouble getting to some waffle grounds going, what are you here for? So I'm coming down the footy for 7. Let me in.
I bet yesterday, full kit.
Yeah.
So I was headphone on, battery pack,
Clearly.
microphone
Working.
in hand,
Yeah.
microphone. And the security guard wouldn't let me onto the ground to do my cross at half time. And I didn't have my pass because I'd left.
So, mate.
Basically, how it works is half time goes and you sprint down and you got to get down to the boundary before the ad break. And he wouldn't let me on. And the camera crew had to come over and say, "Hey,
He's with us."
So we're, "Oh yeah, well, come in." I'm like, "Mate, can't just calm the farm. I'm not trying to storm the ground in a bloody white shirt.
In an AFLW game.
RM Williams on trying to storm the crowd." Oh, jeez.
Anyway, Mitch Robinson, let's hope that he gets to
Yeah. Imagine playing and bleeding for a club for 8 years. This is the rest
he's
of
still
it.
going.
Imagine playing and bleeding for a club for 8 years, copping copious amounts of head knocks.
Clearly.
I'm not sure what that fucking has to do with it, Mitch. And staples in my face, long-term effects. Just to have my family turned away to come down to the rooms after the game to celebrate with my old teammates. Honestly, Mitch.
His old team. How many old
I
body
don't know, mate.
A handful, tops.
Yeah. Look, hey, clubs should look after their former
Yes.
players, but I'm sure there's more than just piss off, mate. We don't want you down here, right? I'm sure there is.
Anyway, we spent far. Well, it's very interesting.
It's probably the best part of the show, to be honest. AFLW happened as well. I called both of these games. West Coast were disappointing against Essendon, who had lost to Fremantle the week before. So I thought their work rate was poor. West Coast, the AFLW girls, I thought, at times their game plan, they didn't adjust to how Essendon were playing quick enough. So there'll be something Daisy Pearce needs to go and work on. And Adelaide defeated Fremantle. So Fremantle didn't kick a goal for the game. And similarly, their work rate, Fremantle, Adelaide were just amazing. A couple of the girls that played there, Ebony Marinov was incredible. She had 18 tackles, 30 touches, Skeeter, if you don't mind. So Freo, look, they've got a bit of work to do, I think, on that. And then the WAFL finals. Skeeter, our man Hamish Brayshaw didn't play.
No.
East Perth beat Swan Districts to go straight into the grand final.
Yeah, 17 points. I think they were up at half time and they pretty comfortable win. Bear in mind, Swans are missing 3 of their better players, Turner, Clark and Edwards.
It's a strange system, the WAFL.
Why?
First round bye to East Perth.
Which is, the old style. A bit like the old VFL in the 70s,
Yeah, I know, but sort of, bye,
win.
And they win that, and then bye. And
Yeah.
then,
So
then
therefore, it's heavily weighted in favour of East Perth having won that game. They do have Scott Jones on report. The match review panel will be looking at that. And 3 reports from yesterday's game between Peel and Cleon.
Talk to us about this. My man Blair Bell, I saw him sneaking in for a match winner.
It was the match winner with about 20 seconds to go. That would have been his last game if they'd lost. He was out. He was done.
Belly's a bloody
He's a ripper.
mate.
Yeah, no, I've bumped into him at Crown, I think.
He would have been having a few waters, I reckon, Belly.
Him and I think we both laughed at each other given the state we were in. But no, he was terrific. Claremont should have won that game, and I could have, should have. They dominated. They missed shots on goal. Even in the last quarter, Jai Bolton had his chance. In fact, Bolton was playing on Bell in that last stoppage, so that was one that really cut him deeply. I feel a bit sorry for Ash Prescott because I thought their footy, they'd won 9 of their last 11 or 10 of their past 12. I thought that was good enough to take them a fair way, but as it turns out, they...
do you feel sorry for Luke Beveridge?
You feel sorry for Luke Berridge? Feel sorry for Ken Hinkley?
I don't know Luke Beveridge. I know Ken Hinkley, but I know Ash Prescott, and I've spoken to him. So, no, you're allowed to feel sympathy for a team that I thought played... Unlike the Bulldogs, Claremont outplayed Peel for a fair chunk of that game.
Do you feel sorry for Adam Kingsley?
You're an absolute knob sometimes. Ash Prescott and his team didn't win, and you don't deserve to win when you kick like they did. And now it's going to be Peel up against Swans on Sunday. I had 5,000, by the way, at the East Perth game. So if Swans can get through against East Perth, it's going to be hard, but that's the matchup we'd like.
Swans get another go.
Yeah, prelim final. You lose the second semi-final. You're going to. It's not a strange system. It's the system that's been in place for a long time, Schoey. It's the top 5. It's not a top 8.
Okay. I'm not attacking the waffle.
No, you keep saying
I'm not attacking the system.
You're saying it's a strange system. It
is a strange system.
Why is it strange?
Because East Perth have to play one game and they're in the grand final.
But, mate, you go back to the VFL, which there was a thing called the VFL. They had a top 5. And
just because it's happened in the past doesn't make it not strange.
Well, because you don't know about it. That's the only reason. Grow up.
Reading shoulder footy. You idiots.
Seriously.
Right.
Unless it happened in 2012, I don't really know about it. I don't care. Sounds like daughters.
Oh, do you remember back in the day, 1964?
I don't remember the day.
Kevin Wilmot and Gary Brickenborton did this and that. It's like, no, I don't remember, Skeeter.
I wasn't there when St Kilda won their first flag, but what year did they win it? Do you remember that?
I remember the Saints. I remember they out in the wing in the 1967 grand final. Remember that, Schoey? That's the sort of shit I have to put up with.
You know the thing I laughed at, just quickly, and I saw this on Facebook. Geez, I laughed. It was on Facebook showing the man on the moon when he landed. I think it was 1969. 5 photos of himself. Had a photo of a young woman in the bathroom. 134 photos of herself. That's the era we've gone through. The bloke lands on the moon, 5 photos. Woman goes to the bathroom at a nightclub, 120 photos.
What did you spend more time looking at?
What do you reckon?
Stephen King. Stephen King. So that's the point. No one gives a shit about the moon skater. Stephen King. Is that the moral of the story? All right, Stephen King. This is from questions and comments from our crowd and audience. Thanks for writing in. You can either comment on YouTube or send us a DM on Instagram, which of course is Shelter FootyCast. And you can also send us an email if you want your email featured, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. There's a little bit to get through here, Skater. Stephen King would be the perfect coach author to help rewrite the West Coast horror movie script from Trevor.
Good shout, I like that.
The Battle of the Bridge was suggested. I think there's some corrections coming in here early, Skeeter, so we could be here a while. The Battle of the Bridge was suggested by GWS's inaugural coach, Kevin Sheedy. The bridge in question is the Anzac Bridge, which connects Eastern and Western Sydney. The Swans being from the east and GWS located in the inner west.
Yeah, because we talked about it last week. We knew it was the Battle of the Bridge. It wasn't the Sydney Harbour Bridge, of course.
Because the Sydney Harbour gets you out onto all the bloody Millionaires Row out there.
Yeah, out towards,
beautiful
the eastern suburbs, and that's where it all happens.
Yeah.
No, that's right. The Anzac Bridge, which isn't anywhere near as iconic, but that's the reason, of course, heading out towards that Parramatta Road. If you've ever been out that way, takes you about an hour and a half to get 15 kilometres. Essendon's
predicament is purely off the back of 2 catastrophic events. This is from KJ on YouTube. Sheedy being sacked and the supplement saga penalties. If Sheedy wasn't sacked prematurely, then the supplement saga never happens. No club has ever been in Essendon's shoes. The fact that the club is still a powerhouse is testament to the members. We just couldn't give a shit what others think about us.
Who's that?
And we live for our club. That's from KJ on
KJ, he might still be on the supplements if he thinks that Essendon's a power club. It's been 20 years since they've won a final.
Well, he doesn't give a shit, Skater. He said we just couldn't give a shit what others think.
Well, they should. Because you're absolute pooperama at this stage of the year. You're sitting back like 8 other clubs or 10 other clubs just wondering why you even played this year because you've missed finals. Going back to Sheeds, his time wasn't up. He'd been there for a quarter of a century. Give me a spell. I will grant KJ this. The supplement saga had a horrendous impact on the playing list, on the club, the fabric of the club. That's one element I do feel sorry for Essendon, given the way that played out, and it ruined careers, but also ruined I think a lot of the enjoyment of footy for a lot of players and people at the footy club.
All right, so there's a really good email I'm going to save to the end because I think it's going to represent how a lot of fans are feeling. So that's from Sam. So Sam, I'm going to leave this to the end. We'll keep going with a bit of feedback. Kane says, every team Schoey has rated and said is winning the flag has turned out like a weekend of Skeeter on the investments. Geelong are probably winning the flag with how much Will has said they are shit this year.
Who's that from?
I don't disagree with you, Kane.
Kane? No, I can't. I think that's spot on.
G'day, Will. I have a question to ask Skeet on the podcast.
What, you pre-read these or not?
No, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
You think I prepare for this show? How many beverages did he have on Saturday night? It had only been 20 minutes and he labelled Jai Bolton a Brownlow medalist and go with this is no example when meaning this is no exemption. God bless Joe Biden. He hasn't put a name to it.
That'd be right.
Sorry, it's Zach. Zach's his name to it.
You got on Zach. Now, I did say Jai Bolton Brownlow medalist. So I corrected that 10 seconds, 5 seconds later, 2 seconds later, say Sandover medalist. So I was, I've done 3 hours of commentary and he picks out one word.
Fourth game of the weekend.
Fourth game of the weekend. Yeah. Saturday night wasn't a huge night, but I'd driven from Perth to Mandurah, which is always a funky ride down there just by yourself.
Squeeze any shelters in across the weekend?
No, I had a couple. Actually,
you said you were going home to have some shelters after.
Oh, yeah, but I certainly didn't have a big weekend in that department. So I apologise. Jai Bolton, a Sandover medalist, Jewel. Yeah.
Apologies.
No, sorry.
Imagine if we had to apologise for everything wrong.
I mean, seriously, where's this bloke work?
Well, you want to go watch him and listen to what he has to say?
So you go for when you at the end of the footy season.
Zach, yeah, it's very close, don't worry. Hey, so this is a good email. I really like it, Skeeter. It's a little long, but I think it's good. Hey, Schoey and Joe. I like the start of it.
Yeah.
I like it. Very good. Sorry to waffle on, but interested to see what you think. I reckon you should commit half a show to the state of the product, not the state of the game. So I'm going to take this on board. I think we could do this because I think it's very good. Now, keep an open mind and try to think about it as a fan would. So this is representation of how fans would think. The AFL obviously trying to spark interest with gather round, the opening round shit, and now this wild card crap. Attendances and fan involvement on match day has never been better. So they're essentially after a sugar hit that changes the structure and traditions of our great game rather than fixing these glaring issues. And he goes on to label them. Fixturing, need I say any more? I agree. State of the media. I only have to mention Caro talking about Schofield's tattoos when discussing his credibility, but I can't resist a drive-by on that so-and-so McClure and even that so-and-so Robbo, not a brain cell in sight. Okay, we can go through the state of the media and where we think it's at because we had a good debate about free-to-air and mainstream and digital media as well, Skeets. So I think we can do that. Commentary, been an issue for years. Easily the worst sport to watch and listen to play-by-play, especially if you support a lowly team. Watched a Dockers AFLW game. Oh, hang on a second. Game where they made a casually racist comment. Yeah,
I do recall that comment being made. That wasn't yesterday, obviously. That was the week
That
before.
was last week.
Yeah.
So, that was an interesting one. So, the AFL's trying to drive Indigenous involvement. So, I don't know if it matters or not. Commentator that made that is Indigenous themselves. So,
put it this way, it raised a few eyebrows when I heard it, and yeah, it's interesting. It depends who said it. The ramifications are completely different for some than others, I would have thought.
So just to remember, this is coming from a fan and not necessarily you and I. Umpiring improved a lot throughout the year, but we saw a good dozen games decided by whistle or lack thereof. I think we've covered that as well. Messaging and hypocrisy. I'm big on this, Skater. I think the AFL have had a howler this year with this one. Clarification on the umpiring, awful. They won't change the Rising Star rules, so generational talent can't win. Yet they'll try and change the rule to Draft Academy rules to try and drop of a hat. We've got the market game of the year and all that sort of stuff. And there's a few other items here, Skater. So I think we should do a state of the game sort of chat, you and I. We can get through some of these topics together.
When should we do that, just out of interest?
Well, we don't go off air at the grand final. We've got a good month of content after that.
Oh, have you? Okay. Well, I might not be in the vicinity to help you.
For a month?
Well, I might be away for a couple of weeks, just doing my best.
How long are you going for? I know you're away for finals.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to be here for the grand final. I'm 3 weeks, though. I'm away.
3.
Yeah, well, you don't just jump on a plane and go to the other side of the world and just come back in 3 days.
All right, so look forward after the grand final. Will Schofield will be doing his State of the Game podcast by himself here on Shelter FootyCast. Skeet, that is us done and dusted, mate. I was a little late to get things going. I appreciate your patience today, mate. I'm sure you got a big day ahead of you. Sandover medal tonight.
Yeah, put the tuxedo on and doing that. So him seeing that with Danny Schoey.
Is that right?
Is my co-host tonight. So
should be a better co-host than me, surely.
I'm not arguing that.
Wouldn't be hard.
No, Danny will do a fine job, and it'll be a.
I don't want to do the Sandover.
Hall of Fame.
I'm not trying to insert myself here. I'm saying Danny's a good operator.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and I'm a shit one.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. But no, looking forward to that. Hall of Fame, Sandover, and Friday night footy. What is it? Port and Hawthorn. That's our next assignment.